John is joining me today, John Watkis, who I met at Sovas last year. And we're going to give this perfect example. I don't know if it's perfect, but we become good friends and it would not have happened if we hadn't talked to each other, right? If we hadn't gotten out of our comfort zone and, and, you know, said hi. So John teaches public speaking. He helps people to overcome their fears and kind of figure out. I'm going to say some part of it might be pitching themselves as well, and I know John has his own insecurities, and so do I. So this is a good topic for anybody in any situation. The classes we have available right now, we don't have that many because we're going to be putting up a bunch coming soon for the new year, and we always have a huge, Black Friday sale. But is Advanced Commercial Voiceover with Mark Sweeney. It's an incredible class. It's for people who are working or are already actors. So it's not a beginning class, but it's a really incredible class. You don't have to have taken level one to take it, and my business class, which is starting, and I do that with Heather Nichols starting in November. And there's a few people in this room that are actually are going to be taking the class with me. And Tina took it with me. Where is she? And Mish took it. Mish has a makeup to do. Um, so anyway, we're going to get started. Okay. So, John, do you want to say a few words before we dive in?
Sure. I see there are quite a few faces that I haven't met before. And I think the misconception that you may have in hearing both of us speak is that we are extroverts. Maybe Paulette is. I am not. And in fact, social environments are something that I have trepidation and fear walking into. Even though I'm able to stand on a stage and talk to thousands of people or perform, I'm still nervous when it comes to networking environments and meeting strangers. Vanessa, I know Vanessa is on the call, and she can tell you there have been times when we've been at the same event and she has said, "Are you talking to people?" To people. So know that everything we're going to be talking about today is not necessarily something that comes naturally. At the same time, if you will turn inside, number one, and give yourself a good pep talk, and then utilize some strategies, you'll be able to be effective. And there's so much in meeting strangers. Most of the work I get is from meeting strangers and being able to have a good conversation with them that eventually turns into business. So that's where I'll start it.
That was very good. I like that introduction. For those of you that know my partner Mimi, she's the one that makes me do all kinds of things I don't want to do, and mostly because she pretends she can't do them. I, she has definitely gotten me out of my comfort zone over the past 9 years, 8, 9 years that we've been partners together. Her most well-known saying to me, her saying in acting was for me is you don't ask, you don't get. Okay. And this is also part of pitching, but if you don't ask, you don't get. If you remember that and use that day to day, you will find that things will start changing for you. And also, it'll start not being so as important, right? You're like, oh, if you don't ask, you don't get. You don't ask, you don't get, right? So, and you also get answers. And a no is important to get. A maybe, a yes, and all those things, because then we know what to do moving forward. Because living in limbo, I don't know about anybody in this room that hates limbo. I hate limbo. Um, Living in limbo is never great for creative people because I don't know about you, I ruminate. I like lay in bed and think up all kinds of crazy shit. So, um, just to clear the plate. All right. So I want to start just with how I met you, John. So I was at Sovas last year on the speed dating panel thing, which I'm doing again this year. So was Carlos, and uh, and it was a lot of fun. So I'd never been to Sovas before, so I was there sitting, and a lot of times I just sit in the in the lounge area where the food's going to end up being and hanging out. So I was hanging out with like, I don't know, 8 other people at a big table. It wasn't at lunch, it was just in between time. And John walks up and he stands in front across from me at our table. If you know John, he's tall. How tall are you, John? 6'2", 6'3"?
6'3".
6'3". So he's tall, and he stands there and he just smiles at me, this big, lovely smile. And I'm like, oh, this tall man is smiling at me. What? I'm like looking around like, oh, it must be me. So I'm like, oh, hi, how are you? He's like, oh, great. And I'm like, we just started talking. I don't know. Did I come up and talk to you or did I make you sit down?
You did. In fact, I was smiling for a while. It wasn't just a little smile, it was just a
Oh,
big
no,
smile.
no, it was long.
And Paulette got up and she said, well, since we're smiling, maybe we'll say hello.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I got up and talked to you. Yeah. And then we were fast friends. And I asked what he did, and he told me about his really incredible process that he does teaching people public speaking. And that's something I've always been interested in as well myself. And there's a few things about the way I talk that I don't like, that I've been working on trying to get over. So we became friends, and it was, I don't know. I think sometimes when you meet certain people, you click, and sometimes you don't click. We're also going to be talking a little bit today about our perceptions of other people too. So, one of the things, because I teach this in my class, and sometimes we do, and we're going to do it today with some of our participants here, is real life situations. Real life situations, meeting somebody you don't know, sitting in a bar, maybe you're at getting coffee at Starbucks, whatever. Maybe you're at some convention, obviously not a voiceover convention, but some other kind, and striking up a conversation, but also about our perceived ideas of who people are, right? So I was teaching my voice this class a few times ago, and I was at a bar in Burbank meeting a friend. And I was like, I'm gonna do what I tell my students to do. I'm gonna just test this, right? And then there was a woman who's standing at the bar waiting for food to go. She looked like someone's grandma. Like she had a grandma vibe, right? She wasn't like hip or cool. She didn't have tattoos. She was, I'm in Burbank, it's a film industry. And I'm like, oh, maybe she's getting food to go home. Maybe she's single or getting something for her husband. So I started talking to her. I said, oh, hi, what are you getting? What do you like to get here? Because I never know what to order. I started talking to her. And then she's like chit-chatting, and then she's telling me what she's getting. I said, that's so cool. And I'm like, so do you work around here? She goes, oh, yeah, I work for Disney Animation. And I was like, I would have never guessed that in a million years. And I'm like, oh, do you know so-and-so? Because I worked with him on a series. She goes, oh, yeah, I just talked to him today. I mean, what are the odds? What are the odds? So looking at her, I discounted that she would be anybody I needed to know or anybody that would help me in some future job or connection. I immediately discounted her, but I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the opposite. So this is a thing that you should start thinking about. And also, I don't know how many times you meet people that are maybe not the casting director, maybe it's associate casting director or associate agent or somebody like in our industry that's maybe not at the level that you want to necessarily that's going to be able to do anything for you. But all those people that are starting out are people that go somewhere in the future. So we need to make sure we treat those people also with a certain kind of respect that we would treat the same. We never know. We never know. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. John, before we get started, I didn't prepare you with this question. What is, what is the best meeting you've had that you weren't expecting to have? Like the best meeting of someone that took place, like you said, a stranger or somebody you didn't know, and tell me what was the best one that you've ever had, just one of them.
There are a bunch of them.
I know.
So if I'll go back to one when I was serving tables, actually, when I first came to Florida, I'm originally from Toronto, for those of you who don't know, and I moved to Florida in 2010, and I was serving tables. And there was a couple that actually the it was a husband and wife, and the wife said to me, "Where are you from?" And my question was, "Why do you ask?" And she said, "Because you're very polite." I said, "Well, aren't people from around here polite?" She said, "Not as polite as you." And so I talked to her and I talked to her husband and served them. Basically, there were some teenagers that were in the booth beside them that were rambunctious and I don't like this. And I talked to everyone the same. So they were just very impressed with that. And they asked me what I did. I told them about my speaking that I did and my speaking coaching. And so the wife gave me a business card and she said, "Call me." I have a lot of people who try to do the multi-level marketing Amway stuff. So I just figured she was one of those. And I went back and I looked up the website of who this woman was. And she was the first ever African American woman to be a manager of a radio station in the United States. Her husband was a former basketball player and they were co-owners of the highest selling TGI Friday in the US for 9 years in a row. I ended up being his speaking coach, writing his Hall of Fame speech. It was that simple. So when I talk about this, you never know the strangers that you meet,
Hmm.
what they do or how they can impact you. That's one of them. I would say that one was the most memorable because to this day, he is still a very close friend of mine and someone who has been an incredible example. He ended up being the president of the retired Basketball Players Association of the NBA. So you just never know who you're meeting.
No, you never know. I think mine was I went on a job. I was a film editor before, and I went on a job interview of a job I didn't want, and I was like, I'll just meet the guy, whatever. And met with him, blah blah blah. But I was directing music videos at the time, and I needed to rent some equipment, and I called. He owned an equipment company, and I called the company, and the salesperson ended up being somebody I went dated like I don't know, twice or something, and I was renting gear from him, and then I was telling him what I was doing, like I'm a film editor now, but literally within the hour, some guy walks by and says, "I'm looking for a film editor for my film. Do you know anyone?" And gave him my name, and I ended up working for that company. And I actually ended up marrying the man too, my producer. But I'm saying is we don't know where things are going to happen and how they're going to happen. It could be something as simple as taking a meeting with somebody that you didn't really necessarily want to take. And because we just never know where the opportunities are going to lie in the future. So I always feel like you just, being an open door, having an open mind, looking, talking about doors, looking at the open doors that are in front of you. Because sometimes we have like this peripheral, like this vision of what our life is supposed to go and what we want and what we think. And then, something over here will go, but wait, you need to come to this door. And if you need to be aware enough to check it out. So that's just something that has always resonated for me. Because success is not a straight line. It's not a straight line. Okay, so I would love to get our first victim. It might be Mish. Look at her face. It might be Mish because she's used to me. She's been gone for a while in Italy, so she probably has forgotten that she's a voice actor too by now.
I'm a voice actor.
Okay. So, do you have a problem with pitching yourself, Mish?
No, I do not. I mean, I shouldn't say no. I get very tongue-tied and I'm afraid I'm going to say the wrong thing.
Okay. And have I given you any tips on how to pitch yourself in the past or what to
I guess,
not say?
yes, shut the fuck up, miss. Just be you.
No, I don't say that to you.
No, you know what? You just tell me to state the obvious. This is who I am. This is what I do. And just
Okay.
be
Okay,
me.
I'm
So,
gonna set up a scenario for you.
okay.
Um, I'm gonna set up a scenario and it's gonna be with you and John.
Hi,
Okay.
John.
Here's the
I
scenario.
miss.
Here's the scenario. Okay, you are at a I'm gonna say you're at a party and you don't know each other. And I want you to find a way to meet John. Well, once you guys you're gonna meet, and I want to see how you interact and how you end up getting your pitch into the conversation and how you're doing it and what your method is.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't know him. John's gonna make up some important job. I don't know what it's gonna be yet. We'll find out. All right, go ahead, go for it.
Wow, you're tall. I rarely get to look up, so this is a nice refresher for me.
How tall are you?
I am 5'11".
Okay. It's a good world being tall, isn't it?
You know something? It's good now. It wasn't so much at age 14, but yeah, you know what? Now I'll take it and run with it.
Were you 5'11" at 14?
I was 5'11" at 14, so yeah, not a lot of dating going on in this region.
I wasn't even 5'11" at 14.
Oh, well, believe me, most males were not. So yeah, lucky me.
Okay, so how do you use height to your advantage now?
Well, the height actually helped me get into modeling, which got me into acting. And so, you know what? It actually ended up being a positive thing.
Okay, how long have you been acting?
Oh gosh, well over 30 plus years.
You don't look like you're 30.
And you're my new best friend.
What is your favorite type of role to be in? Have I seen you in anything?
You've probably heard me in things. I am a voiceover actor. I've been doing voiceover
Oh,
for a long time. I love it. It's a passion. Um, I just recently finished doing audio description and I worked with Paulette Lifton. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's an unbelievable Emmy Award winning producer and she's helped me quite a bit. So I worked with her on Lioness and Yellowstone. I've done
oh
a lot,
wow.
yeah, I've done a lot of dubbing work with Mimi Maynard, worked with some great directors.
Okay,
Um,
so now you're speaking a different language to me. What's audio description? What's dubbing?
well, audio description is phenomenal, actually. It is for the visually impaired. So in between
Mm.
the dialogue, I'm telling you what's going on. So visually impaired people can enjoy the show and know what's happening and then hear the dialogue on top of it.
Oh, that is pretty cool. I'm actually the CEO of an association that works with the hearing impaired. So I know that's something that for a lot of people would be very interesting. I'm hearing impaired myself too, but visually impaired, I don't necessarily think about the challenges that visually impaired people have. When I go to a movie, I use closed captioning screening. The audio
Mhm.
description sounds very interesting.
Yeah, well, you know something, I think we take for granted all the senses that we have and closed captioning is great because you can still see what's happening. You can, if you have to read lips, but you know what's happening. But the visually impaired, not so much. So they,
I think you're doing great, Mish. I want you to see if you can find a way if he's hiring for any reason, for anything that's come to do with what you do for a living.
okay. So
They're
you
gonna,
said you work a lot in closed captioning. Do you do anything with audio description, or do you think you might want to get, do something with audio description? Because I would love to work with you.
Oh, what exactly would you do? How does that work?
Well, I also write scripts for audio description. So basically, if you've got a show that you're working on and you need an audio description script and voiceover work, I'm the person you would call.
what
Well,
about, hey, Mish, what about other stuff? Because now you're just making yourself only that.
Oh, okay.
Because
Also,
he
oh,
just told you that he does stuff with the hearing impaired.
trying to
and with
think.
an association.
Yeah. But what else,
Okay.
but did you find out what else he does?
Now, you know what, John? What else do you do? I mean, you sound so interesting.
Do well, thank you. I don't think I'm all that interesting, but I do a lot of work setting up as a CEO, setting up conferences for our members because that's how we keep members coming in. Is we've got to have meetings for them all the time.
That's fabulous. Gosh, that, something like I said before, you just take for granted certain things that just happen, but you never know what's going on behind the scenes. So I don't know, do you work with voiceover actors? Because I do everything across the gamut. I mean, you name it, I do it. And I'm a writer. So anything I could help you with, I would love to work with you.
Well, I'd love to take your contact information and find out a little bit more about what you have done with associations, if you've done anything at all, or how your services might be able to help us.
Oh, it'd be my pleasure. Here's my card, my picture's on there, my website, everything.
That was good. Mish, you're
All
so good
right.
at this.
Thank you. I'm literally like wetting my pants because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Okay, well, thank you for that TMI. That was very thoughtful of you.
Visual.
Now everybody has to go to the bathroom. They're all like, that was great. That was
Awesome.
so great. You know what? You're so natural at just, you made him feel important, which was great. You, you, you made yourself human by talking about, which was so interesting, talking about kind of like growing up and what it was like to be really tall, and it makes you approachable and likable, you know? So I thought that was really good. I know you didn't really mean to do that. It's not part of your shtick,
No,
but,
yeah.
yeah, you're very self-deprecating anyway. That's just your nature.
I don't really like talking about myself. That's why I became an actor, so I could be somebody else.
If I can jump in on that note there, because most of us, not all, some people do enjoy talking about themselves a lot and excessively. Not saying anyone in this room. Most people, though, especially actors, don't like to talk about themselves. And the challenge with that is, and I didn't ask you in this scenario, but I might, and someone else might, is ask you what you do well. What are your strengths? And for most of us, we clam up and we get nervous about sounding like we're bragging or sounding like we are, what's the word, overconfident. When the truth is, if I were to say to you, tell me something about yourself that you could change or that you don't like, you could whip it off quickly. There has to be some balance. If a stranger doesn't know what you do well and you can't tell them, then they have no reason to hire you. And that's for everybody in the room. It's important to become comfortable acknowledging your strengths, owning your strengths, and being able to speak about your strengths without feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm sounding so boastful. You're just telling the truth. If you can do it, you're telling the truth.
I agree. But I also think, one of the things is, we feel like we're always being judged. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think most people do. They feel like, you meet somebody, or people judge each other, like, do they do what they say they can do? How talented are they? What do they bring to the table? And I think as if we're talking about voice actors specifically, um, how do you differentiate yourself from other actors? I mean, Mish did this in a way through the conversation where she went from this one thing and I had her sort of alter it a little bit because of where John's coming from. So the more that you can find out about the other person, the more that you're going to know what you can provide because you're providing a service, you're providing something that they need and or something that they don't know that they need or something that maybe someone in their family needs or their friend or someone they know. So I think, you know, getting out of that comfort zone. For myself, doing an interview thing for like almost 4.5 years um, has made it easier for me to be able to talk about myself because that's something I've never liked to do. Right? I've hated it. I hate it. I feel like it's boastful as well. But you have to tell people, otherwise people don't know your credibility. So if I just said, "Hey, I'm Paulette and I own Voice Masters," that's me, and you're like, "Oh, who's this woman? Why would I even train with her? What does she have to offer me? Like, what's her history?" So I did this manifestation course, which was really interesting, and one of the things I had to do was tell a story about myself that was relatable and somehow moving to the person that I was conveying it to. And it was really interesting to spend that time to write that down. And I think that is a great exercise for everybody in this room because to have a story that you can tell, maybe you don't need it now, but you might need it some other time. And that can also lead to things like jobs that you've had, stories about jobs you've had in the past, experiences you've had in the past that might relate to what you're the person that you're pitching to, so you can be relatable. So just some things to also to think about. Um, okay. Oh,
Paula, if I can just jump in just on one more
yes,
thing that Mish did
yes,
really well,
yes.
and that is she used something that we had in common. It wasn't, there was the point that, yes, she pointed out that I was tall. She's also tall, and tall people recognize each other. And if you can find something that you have in common with a stranger, it makes it so much easier. I normally don't approach people, and I'll say this and hang my head for those of you who are football fans. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. You've never won the Super Bowl, and we always choke. But if I see another person with a Bills cap or Bills jacket, it's instant conversation because we have that in common. I had a phone conversation with a guy who's a podcast producer. And when we got on the phone, he was in a rush. He's like, I only got a few minutes to talk, but I had researched him beforehand. And I said, absolutely. But before we get into specifics, I see you're a Bills fan. Me too. And we talked for the next half hour. Why? Because we had that one thing in common that we both loved and we were both willing to talk about. So if you can, in advance, in a party situation, you may not be able to do that, but in a phone conversation, you might be able to if you're being referred. Find out about the other person. What do you have in common? Because that creates an instant connection and gives you something to talk about without having to feel like you're pitching.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And that's the same thing that goes for agent letters. When you're reaching out to an agent, you need to know who the agent is and you need to make it personal at some degree because you can't say, "Here's my submission, let me know if you're interested," and that's the whole email. No, it's just not gonna cut it. Just something to think about because if you're going to ask an agent to spend the time to listen to your material, you better spend the time knowing who they are. You better spend a little time knowing who they are, at least the same amount of time you're asking them to spend on you. At least 10 minutes. Okay. It's not that hard. All right. Carmen messaged me. Teresa, I'm going to have you up. Don't worry. Carmen had messaged me and she said she wanted to go up. So, hi, Carmen.
Hi. I'm not a football fan, but I do a pretty good impression of Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. Like, would you fuck me or fuck me? I I also learned that's probably not something cool to do on a first date.
Can you tell she's a comedian? Can you tell that?
Ooh.
She's a
Yes,
writer and a
yes.
comedian. She's hilarious. Okay.
Thank you so much. John Watkis. That is a powerful name.
I like you already.
Okay, do you want this is not how to date people on Zoom. Okay, guys. All right.
Hey, if somebody is doing a Bumble commercial or a dating app commercial,
Oh, Lord have mercy. What if I created? All right. I'm gonna not have you do this with John because no.
we'll just laugh the whole time. This would be mouth. It's like we are casting giant mouths.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually do this. I'm gonna
Okay.
actually
Can I give you a scenario, Paulette?
yeah, I'm gonna give a scenario. I'm gonna have you do this with Mish. And Mish is the person you want to meet. And Mish, I'm gonna message you on chat and I'm gonna let you know what your job is, okay?
Okay.
Okay, you're both at Starbucks in Burbank. And you're in line together, waiting to order. And go.
Can I get my venti caramel macchiato with almond milk, not regular milk, please? Thank you.
Gotta love the milk that comes out of those almond titties.
Well, there's a visual that's going to last me the day. Thanks.
I'm sorry. I just could not help myself. Feeling a little frisky today. Yeah, I have almond milk as my go-to, but I just had this visual when you said that. Very specific order.
You're funny. And seriously, that was funny. I'm going to use that one.
You know what? I do have a tendency to take myself a little too seriously. So it's like, I really believe laughter is the best medicine. So it's like reminding myself to do that too. So I love to share a laugh with people, especially strangers. There's just something about it, that feels so juicy.
Is that your profession? I mean, what do you do?
I'm an actress, writer, creator. Thank you for asking. I'm an actress, writer, creator, and I also coach and facilitate.
Really coach and facilitate actors or?
Thank you for asking. I'm a huge improv nerd. Like, I'm a daily meditator, and second to daily meditation, improv has been something that has, I'm gonna get verklempt, just enhanced the quality of my life so much. So I have done all these different things, and I created an experience that I position as team building or executive development called a Laugh and Learn. And it combines mindfulness and mindset with facilitated play. It's improv-based games, but I don't use the word improv so people don't shut down. And then we close out the experience with a forward-thinking, solution-oriented conversation. I'll have people acknowledge themselves, acknowledge each other, and share a little bit of like what they got from that experience.
Wow, that is really it's very interesting what you do.
Thank you.
I'm gonna
It's
pause
really,
you for
really
1 second.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna do that. I knew it.
Carmen, what do you know about Mish?
I don't know anything about men. Which I do realize I went on.
Yeah.
I do get excited. So
I think here's a tip. I loved your passion. I love your passion. I love that a lot. I think if you say so, if you bring her in, like, oh, do you meditate or have you ever done improv? Because you'd love it, like asking her to see if you can have something in common.
Do you work with a team? Do you
Do
work
I
at
work with a team? Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I have an incredibly big team, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask, what how would you rate your quality of communication as a team? Or how
Well,
important do you think that is for your company and how you appear to be very successful and have such a good energy. So I'm just
well,
curious.
thank you for that. Actually, communication is really important in my line of work. Um, I work with a great deal of people, and those lines of communication have to remain open at all times.
I'm going to
So,
pause you again. So, feedback for you, Carmen, and for everyone in the room. There are questions that you can ask that may seem a little bit personal if you don't know a person well enough yet. And you've asked her about the communication on her team. You don't necessarily know what her team does.
Yeah.
And so you may want to know that first, or you would want to know that first, so that she doesn't hold back information. It could be, if you want to know if she works with a team, she's got that coffee. Like, oh, are you taking is this a lunch break? Are you going back to a group of people? Are you bringing coffee for anybody else? Something that opens up the opportunity for her to share before you go deeper and try to get more information.
So what do you do? What do you mind if I ask what industry you're in or what line of your work you're in?
I'm actually in the entertainment business.
Oh,
So that's why your profession, it's very interesting to me.
what area of entertainment?
Um, I work with a large conglomerate that puts out incredible media and fabulous things to watch and listen to.
Is there something that what's your favorite project or thing that you've worked on with them?
Well, my line of work, they're all my favorite. They have to be. I have to enjoy and love what I sell and produce and show, or people watching it will not love and appreciate it.
You can tell her what you do.
Oh, okay. So I am the president of Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
I would hope so.
That's amazing. I've actually auditioned for a couple of the new animated series on Nickelodeon.
Have you? Okay, well, that's good to know. Are you aged?
Yes, I'm with Imperium 7 for voiceover.
Nice. We do a lot of business with them.
Yeah. They're wonderful people, which I
That's
very
great. Do you have your card with you? I mean, I would love to see what, projects we have that you might fit in.
I would love to take your information and email you my animation reel if that works for you. And then you have all my information and you don't have to keep track of a business card or throw it away.
I actually don't give out my information. That's just, in my line of work, I find it doesn't help me. I have this mentor named Paulette. She said, never give out your information. So I'm better off taking your
Okay.
information so I can give it to the right people. If that's okay, you don't have to. I don't want you to feel pressured or anything.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'd be happy to airdrop you my reel and give you my information.
Yeah. I mean, AirDrop, I'm not giving her my information, right?
No, I don't think so. I think you should always have whatever someone asks of you. A lot of people don't have cards,
Yeah, I
but
don't.
and I know it's not that common a lot now. I mean, it's like probably 50-50, but old school, a lot of people are still old school.
Okay, so
So
yeah, please
like
AirDrop me.
someone like Mimi, if you met Mimi in a coffee shop and she thought you're hilarious, she'd probably
Oh,
want to
yeah.
hire you tomorrow. But she's not going to airdrop shit because she doesn't know how to use her phone.
Do you
So
still want your resume, paper resume with your photo on the back?
Well, it doesn't have to be a photo on the back, but at least to be on the
I'm kidding.
Uh, no, but I'm just saying we should always be prepared with different options for different people because we just never know.
I just
Yeah.
want to know when it's, because I would imagine
Carmen, you did great.
you're awesome, Carmen.
Thank you.
You're very
I just,
funny and gregarious, and anybody would want to know you.
my question though is, because there are certain people in certain professions that don't want to give out their information, their cell phone, that kind of, so how would you go about, airdropping be the way to do that?
Well, airdropping's a good way to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I get airdrop stuff, but for me, I have 5,000 people in my contacts. I don't know if I'm going to remember this person. So if you're going to airdrop your contact, I mean, you can do that on an Apple phone, but some people don't have iPhones. I know that sounds odd, but some people don't. So, but also if you're going to do that, also have a picture on there that represents you as an actor too. So you're like, oh, and you on the thing, you actually put, maybe your company name or that you're a voice actor or something else on the contact. So not just your name and phone number and email, some little bit more context. Yeah.
I actually met somebody who did the barcode thing where you just scan their information and
You can do
everything.
that. Yeah, you can do that on Bitly.
Mm.
Bitly has, you can shorten your URL or make them special, and then or your emails, whatever you can want, whatever link you want, plus your website, and it also can make like one of those barcodes, SKUs, those little squares. So you could put that on a card as well. That's all great. I agree.
People are in the chat. You can airdrop like the audio file is what I was talking about.
Yeah,
More so like airdropping
you
a
can
con.
airdrop an audio file too. But then you want to make sure, like, if you're just airdropping a file, do they have your contact information in order to find you?
Right.
So then do you put your name and phone number or name and email? I don't know.
No,
Because
but
I
I've had
file
circumstances.
attached.
What's the best way to keep in touch? And then they'll let you know, like reach out to me on LinkedIn or this, or they have the QR code. But it's
Yeah,
probably a good idea to get at least a handful of business cards made,
I think so. And I love LinkedIn for connecting because I always ask people when I meet them, like, oh, are you on LinkedIn? And I instantly just do it right then, like at that moment. Because if I don't do it at
And
that moment, I'm never going to remember.
and pens and paper and napkins still work if you are lacking in business cards. I've done it, and if people want to stay in touch with you, they will. Carmen, your personality is so engaging and magnetic that people are going to remember you regardless. They'll never forget their coffee and their almond milk after having a conversation with you. So you are going to be memorable. Feel free to put it down on paper, even if that's all you have. The napkin still works.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetheart. Anytime you have a show or something, please let me know so I can come. And also can join our people who are in this room want to join our alumni, our Voice Masters alumni is Facebook, because we post like social events and stuff on there as well. Teresa, did you want to do know or work on something, sweetie?
I wanted to say a few sentences to you. I
Okay.
wanted to thank you for saying, if you don't ask, you don't get, because I just remember ever since you said that, I've been asking, and my whole life has changed around. That whole motto is what you said, and my whole life has changed around because of that. And also, I wanted to say something else. I played a poker game, a non-gambling poker game, and I ran into somebody there who does voiceover there.
Oh, nice. Did you tell him what you do?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for that acknowledgement, Teresa. That is really, really appreciated. You made my day today. Thank you. No.
Paulette, if I may, just something that you pointed out and something also that can create a greater connection. In the conversation, if someone says, yeah, I've worked with that company before, oh, who do you know there? that's also something in common.
Yeah. Well, if you say like, because when I met that woman in the bar, I'm like, "Do you know so and so?" She goes, "Oh yeah, I just talked to him today." I'm like, "Oh my God, I cast a
Yeah.
series for him, and I just had lunch with him last week." So I didn't really do anything else with that connection, but it was just interesting. I just did it for an experiment, and so I think that those things are really, really important. And I think also, attending social events is important, especially in our industry, even if it's just with a bunch of voice actors, because you never know. Sometimes they get these castings and they refer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if I can throw the point, Sovas, when of course we met at Sovas, I also met someone at the backstage booth. And she signed me up for backstage. She gave me a few months free. And when someone sent through a request for an animation, someone to sing baritone for an animation, she remembered me. She connected me to him. He invited me to an event where there was a director speaking. And Paulette, I told you about this event. This is actually the person who's hosting it tomorrow.
Yeah, the one you invited me to, which I think I can go now.
Awesome.
Okay.
Vanessa's going to be going. We were going to have
Okay.
coffee tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Vanessa's my coffee buddy. So I went to the event a couple months ago, and the person who was checking me into the event was actually the owner of the building, who runs a creative network for animators. And I took her card because I wanted to rent her space, and she ended up contacting me a couple weeks later because I sent her my demo to say there's a project that I'm working on, and your voice would work for it. So you just never know. Show up, say hi, introduce yourself, grab a business card, and follow up. And all those connections will start to turn
Follow
into
up.
something.
Follow-up is
Yes.
the freaking hardest thing to do. I don't know why. It is for me. I have
And
hundreds,
so important.
I have hundreds of business cards. I could take a whole week and just contact people like, "I think I met you at this convention in France or something." And I'd be like, I don't remember you. It's been 4 years. There's somebody here. I think it was what is she? Suki? She's still here? Suki. Did you say something on here that this was really good that we were doing this, that you had a meeting on Monday?
No, that wasn't me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Was there somebody in here that has a meeting on Monday that they're worried about? Because I think I remember seeing something in the chat. No? No?
Yeah, they were here.
Okay. All right. Does anybody want to go next? I think we have time for one more. So I would love if anybody wants to work on their pitch. And yes, Teresa?
Yeah, I wanted to work on my pitch if it's okay and stuff. But if you want to tell someone, I really need to work on my pitch really desperately because I'm not very good at it. But if someone else wants to go, they can go. I can.
No,
do
it's
it
okay.
another time.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
okay. It's okay. So I'll
And
do
quick pause before you even do that, Paulette. Because
yes.
Teresa, what you just did is what most of us do, and it already sets us up for failure. I'm not very good at this. That type of language and self-talk is something that sticks with us. And if we continue to say it, not only do we think it, we believe it. And when we believe it, we act it out. So I'm working on improving is a different way to say what you're trying to say. I'm terrible at it is already putting you in a losing position. And that's for everybody in the room. I'm working at improving in this area.
Yeah, I think, yet is another one. You can say yet at the end. I'm not good at it yet. I also think this is just something that's off topic, but I'm going to get to you in 1 second. There is a really cool Instagram with William Dafoe, and I don't have the link, but search for it. It's really interesting, and it's about him talking about failing and the freedom in just like going, you know what? I'm just going to fail at this. I'm just going to purposely fail. I'm just going to fail so you could be free to not worry about succeeding. You have to listen to him because he is a genius. I took a year once where I did all these things I was scared of to do because I didn't have a relationship with being a beginner. And me not being number one has really interfered with some of my success in my life, like being number two cello in an orchestra. I'm like, fuck it, I'm out of this orchestra. I'm not number one. I don't want to be here anymore. Like stupid stuff like that. So I needed to have a relationship with being a beginner because I also started over my career at 35. So there was a lot of chit chat in my brain of what I was capable of achieving, and it wasn't positive. So I had to
Yes.
change how I think.
And Paulette, if I may, I always say anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. I didn't make it up, but I got it from somewhere. We always hear anything worth doing is worth doing well. Sure. And anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. In other words, you are going to suck at first. Don't
Yeah,
tell
just,
yourself you suck.
yeah,
Just, hey, I'm going to get better.
just try making pasta from scratch. That'll do something for you. Okay. All right, Teresa. Yeah, this is
Okay.
everybody's assignment. Make pasta from scratch, okay? Then you'll see how things look like a failure. All right. Teresa,
Okay.
I'm gonna do this with you.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna be give me a scenario, John.
Teresa, you've been given the name of a creative director. Teresa, what's your favorite? Let me ask, what's your favorite area of voiceover that you want to work in?
Animation.
Great. So you've got the contact information from a friend for creative director in animation, and you are now going to contact this person to introduce yourself and the possibility of working with them.
Oops.
You're calling.
She's gonna call me. Okay, so I'm going to make it so. Wait, I'm stopping my video. So can't see me. Hello? Hello?
Hi. Hi. My name's Teresa Moeller. How are you doing today?
I'm good. What is this about?
I got your contact information from somebody and
Who gave you my contact information?
my friend gave you a contact information.
What's your friend's name?
Let me pause you for 1 second. Teresa, the first thing I want you to do is breathe.
Okay.
Right now, you're not breathing, and it's making you even more nervous. So just take a moment to breathe. Nice deep breath. Feel your ribs expand and go from there. You've got a connection with this person.
Yeah, so you got to realize, first of all, people get lots of really weird spam calls. I don't know about you guys. I get like 10 a day. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be that receptive at first. I'm like, who is this person? Know who the friend is. Just make up a friend's name. Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna start over. Here we go. Hi. Can I help you? This is Paulette.
Hi. My name's Teresa Moeller. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. What's this about?
I'm calling because a good friend of mine, Ronnie Smith, gave me a card with your name on it. And I wanted to reach out to you and find out more about what you do and stuff.
Okay, well, what do you do?
Well, I've been doing voiceovers for studying voiceovers for a long time, animation voiceovers for a long time, and I also have a strong background in puppetry and stuff.
Okay, great. Well, do you have a demo you can send me or your information?
Yeah, I have my information. I don't have a demo reel yet, but I could send you an MP3 of some samples and stuff.
Okay. Okay, great. Why don't you call this number and talk to my assistant and she'll give you all the information you need, okay?
Okay, great.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I got a pen.
213-545-2020.
Okay, great.
Her name is Andrea,
Andrea,
okay?
I really
right.
appreciate it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye. Okay.
If I can now take you back just a little bit and give some feedback, I like that you talked about your puppetry as the extra that you had in addition to voiceover. It would be helpful as a next time if you set up the conversation in such a way to ask them, give them an opportunity to say no. For everyone, write down this book, Never Split the Difference. Never split the difference. We hate when people try to force us into a yes. We feel a little bit of relief when someone gives us a free opportunity to say no. Have I caught you at an inconvenient time? Is this a bad time for us to talk? If it is, they can say yes. If it's not, they can say no. Now you've actually given yourself more time. So,
Yeah, I usually say like, do you have just like a minute, like a couple minutes? This Paulette, blah, 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 from blah, blah, blah. Do you have just a couple minutes? Is this a good time? Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah. The one thing that John, because Ed reminded me, John has a book and I'm gonna promote you in a minute. But one of the things I wanted to do was get rid of the things I don't like that I do, which is saying and like and and I'm still working on it, as you can tell. But here's what he taught me. Well, actually, I'm going to let John tell you because that'll be better because you're going to get it from the expert here.
to remove your filler words or reduce them. You don't necessarily have to eliminate them all, but to reduce them for 1 minute a day, turn on your voice recorder and start talking about any subject. And if you feel an kind of like, sort of, right coming in, take a breath, and then continue. And allow for the silence. The reason we use the filler words is we're looking for what we want to say. We're uncomfortable with the silence. So take a pause, allow yourself to feel the silence, and then continue. Record yourself for 1 minute a day, trying to get to 1 minute with 0 filler words. You do that every single day, and because you're conscious of it, you'll notice the filler words are going to go down.
Yeah, so Teresa, what you did was fine, but you had those filler words that were sort of interfering with the information.
Yeah, I have a lot of filler words I use when I do animation. When I do my animation, I leave out those filler words, but when I'm talking natural, I tend to use a lot of filler words.
Yeah, because when we're being a character, it's easy. When we're being ourselves, that's the hard part. That's the hard part. And I think giving ourselves permission to not be, not have everything at the tip of our tongue. It's not normal unless you're, I don't know, I guess there's some people that are like that. Carmen's like that, but not everybody's like that. So yeah, giving yourself permission. That's a good practice for you, Teresa. I would highly suggest you do that.
Yeah, I like that suggestion.
Yeah, I think it's great. I just said an see? All right. So John, can you tell them about your book? It's a really interesting book. And then we're going to...
I can. My book is called Speaking Notes, the 8 Essential Elements to Make Your Speech Music to Their Ears. And it talks about taking the composition of a song and applying it to a presentation. Because a speech is supposed to be meant for the ear as opposed to reading, which is for the eye. 2006, I believe, is when I came up with this concept because I wrote a speech for a client who asked me if I played a musical instrument. And that led me to research and find out that there are 8 elements in music that are also in successful speeches. And the book outlines all 8 of those elements so that you can apply them to any talk that you do, so people will remember, repeat, and respond to what you say. It's available on Amazon, and now it's actually available in audiobook format because I finally released it in September.